Hey everybody. Um, the Black conservative movement is the new civil rights movement. Um, why do I say that? I think anybody that considers themselves a Black conservative understands, and pretty much a conservative overall, because it's hard to be a conservative at all these days. But if you're Black, that's weird because there's this paradox of Black people not wanting to see you have a different outlook on life or a different perspective on things, and white people also not wanting to see you have a different perspective on things. I think in the white community, they're used to conservative, liberal, things like that. They're used to two points of view basically. So if they see a person that's conservative, it's not so shocking to them. And it's not like they feel like they have to berate that person or whatever, because it's kind of normal in, I guess, white society. But in Black society, they're so used to thinking one way and one way only that when you think differently, that they get mad. There's literal hate from Black people towards other Black conservatives. And it's the new civil rights movement in my mind, because when you look at what they had to go through, say like in the 60s or whatever, after slavery was over, after all that kind of stuff happened, and when they were trying to just get basic rights, they dealt with a lot of hate and a lot of pushback and a lot of just venomous rhetoric and things like that. So it's kind of like the same thing now being a Black conservative, because you can't think a certain way and you can't have a certain mentality or way of viewing things without catching a lot of hate. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I got a comment tonight from a guy who asked me, he said, is it hard being a Black conservative? Are you scared when you wear a MAGA hat or whatever? And then I thought about that for a second, and I was like, you know what? I never really thought about being like, I've been there, done that. You got to do a lot to scare me. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, you're not going to scare me very easily. But in a sense, I kind of seen what he was talking about, and I was like, you know what? That's kind of weird, because people are being targeted. They're being targeted for their conservative views nowadays. And it's like, I guess in the 60s and stuff, it was a little different. People had dogs sicked on them, and things of that nature, hoses sprayed at them. They were getting beat. They were getting pushed out of restaurants and things like that. And it was very violent, the reaction that they were getting. I think now it's kind of reversing to the point where it was civil at first. People would just disagree with you and say, well, that's a stupid way to think. You're a coon. You're Uncle Tom for being a conservative or for voting for Trump or whatever. But now it's getting to the point where they are starting to push you out of restaurants. They are starting to get more violent with you. They are starting to take bolder and bigger steps in order to show you that they don't agree with you. Okay, so I think it has a very real possibility to get where it was in the late 60s, with that whole movement and everything that was happening. And it wasn't just in the late 60s. I'm not it's when you say things on the internet, you kind of have to say it with a clause, because anything you say, people will say, well, it wasn't just the late 60s. I understand it wasn't just the late 60s, but I think people with common sense get what I'm saying. So it's crazy, because like I said, when he mentioned that to me, I never really thought about it before. I mean, I have a concealed weapons permit. I carry my pistol with me where I'm allowed to, by law, and I practice, safety and everything as far as that's concerned. So, but it was kind of for different reasons. It's because the neighborhood I live in, it's a pretty violent neighborhood. There's gangs, drugs, blah, 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 so on and so forth. You know, typical inner city type stuff. So I kind of keep it for protection for that purpose. But it's like now I have to think about, what if I'm out wearing a MAGA hat and somebody wants to get violent with me? You know, and it never really occurred to me like that until the guy made that comment and said, "Are you scared to wear a MAGA hat in public?" So, I mean, it's just sad that it's gotten to that point, but it's all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, if I go on the internet and I post a picture of me with a MAGA hat or something like that, then, like I said, you get, oh, you're a coon, you're a sellout to your race and this and that. And it's like, for one, I'm biracial. I don't know how I'm selling out to my race. I don't know what race I'm supposed to identify with or supposed to whatever. But, you know, and then you get the, oh, well, when the race war happens or whatever and the revolution happens, they're not going to be taken care. And it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what the fuck? It's so weird that, like, people have this whole notion that just because you have a MAGA hat on, that you're down for the white race and you want to. The one guy said to me, he said, well, you're contributing to the genocide of your own people. And once again, like I said, I'm mixed. So when people say your own people, it's kind of ignorant, because it's like, just because I have dark skin, you don't know what race I am or what races I have mixed in me. But another ignorant statement is, how am I contributing to the genocide of my people? Like, who's out there trying to kill you? I don't get it. Like, it's always like, oh, well, the cops want us dead, and this person wants us dead, and that person wants, and all these paranoid thoughts that they want to push onto you. And if you don't think like that, then you're a coon, you're an Uncle Tom, this and that, and whatever. So it's just, like I said, to me, this is the new civil rights movement, to where you have to be aware of the fact that there's people that will get violent with you, people that literally hate the way that you think and the fact that you don't think like they think. So that's all. I'm just, putting that out there in the world just to let other black conservatives know, be careful. You know what I mean? There's people out there that hate you. They hate what you stand for. They hate how you think. They hate that you're different. And it could potentially get to the point where people want to get violent. And I kind of see it progressing that way, because the progressive side, the people, the liberals who always talk about inclusion and stuff like that, are the ones that are getting the most violent. So, like I say, guys, just be careful. This is just a little PSA, just so, guys out there like me, women out there like me that are conservatives, that represent conservative values, can kind of just, look towards each other for strength and stuff, because there's not a lot of people that accept the way you think out there. So, whatever. Peace out. Good night.